the truth. You handle the truth. You I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome from Mexico. I gotta fix this thing because it is not sitting right. There we go. How's it going, everyone? Was gonna take this week off, but decided to come on. Just lots of messages, lots of texting. So I just thought I'd do it all in one shot and answer everyone's questions. Yes, we are in Mexico. Yes, we are hanging out here until Christmas time. And then we are planning to come back home to keep on the good fight with the, fighting up against the freedom fighters and making sure that we're holding our ground and holding our line. But we did want to come out here to enjoy the fact that we could still fly unvaxxed until November 30th, and that we could do it without a PCR test if you left before November, or I guess it would have been October 30th. So we are here, we are hanging out, and we're going to be here until after Christmas. So there you go, everyone who was texting and commenting. I want to thank everybody who's, sent out some really good support and some good thoughts. So thank you to guys for that. If it's easier for you guys, you can close the door. I don't know. They're not paying attention. We're good. All right. So you can see behind us, we're in our Airbnb house. We are hanging out in Cancun. We are loving the heat. We are loving the weather. It is an adjustment because I'm sitting here and this is about the longest I've probably put on my t-shirt since we've arrived, because it is that hot in Cancun. So it's been crazy. It's been awesome. So anyways, that's how I wanted to kind of put that out there. I do want to put a shout out to Organic Therapy with Jasmine, and of course, Sacred Lotus. They are with the aromatherapy, and of course, Jasmine was part of our wellness day that we had, or the wellness series that we were having. And you might see beads of sweat kind of coming down because it is a little bit warm. But yeah, so I want to thank Jasmine, and I want to thank Clayton, of course, from Sacred Lotus Aromatics and from organictherapy.ca, and for sponsoring the show. And of course, we're going to actually try to get Jasmine on, because I actually threw out a challenge with Jasmine. And so if you're watching, Jasmine, go read that text message so that we can talk about that some more. So out here in Mexico, I'm going to actually get Todd on in just a second. He's joining me tonight. And the reason I wanted Todd to join is so that we can have the conversation, because next week we're actually doing a show called What's Up North America. Since I was in Mexico, since I have my buddy Blake in United States, and since we have Todd up in Canada, I thought, wouldn't it be a cool idea to do a panel show and do a show called What's Up North America, so that we could talk about what's happening down here, we could talk about what's happening in the middle, and then of course we could talk about what's going on in Canada, and talk about maybe there's any type of what's going on that's in common, what's going on that's super not in common, and the joys of the freedoms that we've kind of been enjoying down here. We've actually had a chance to go to a few restaurants. We really fell in love with one here. We are like plopped ourselves in the middle of the culture, so we don't speak too much Spanish. So we're really learning. Google Translate is fantastic. It's working really, really well. But this is going to be an amazing opportunity to be able to talk about what's going on in North America as a whole. The reason I wanted to do that show next week is so that it kind of gives me a chance to really dive in here, talk to more local people here, and for a chance to kind of understand where they're coming from. So it's going to be a really, really good show. That's coming up next Tuesday with the panel. So without further ado, please welcome the founder of WHAM, Mr. Todd McDougall. We need a clap. We need the clap. Oh, it's really hot. Is he not on the show there, Mr. Alex? There he goes. All right. Hey, Todd, how you doing?
I'm doing just great. Of course, I'm wearing a hoodie inside right now. And
I want to take my shirt off. I'm dying of heat.
Well, that would make it an exciting show, I'm sure.
Well, it would. It would. It is really, really warm.
I love the idea. I absolutely love the idea of having a show next week where we have one individual in each part of North America, each country of North America. I think that is super awesome. I can't wait. It's going to be a blast.
I think it's going to be fantastic. It'll give me definitely more of a chance. I've been doing some research today. We've talked to a few like cab drivers and a couple of locals here, the people that we rent the house from, and kind of the manager that we're renting. And it's really interesting, the spin on what's happening here with COVID and just the research that I've been doing. It's been mind blowing. But first of all, Todd, just because I have been out of Winnipeg so we left Friday night. I don't even remember when we left. Friday we left. We got here Saturday. What's kind of been going on? How was the rally? I saw that we had an interview with Tobias. How was everything going over there?
Yeah, it was, really great. Our lovely volunteers, who are awesome. Always a huge, tip of the cap to all of the wonderful volunteers that we have here at Winnipeg Alternative Media. So Mike Jarrow was out at the event in Winnipeg on Saturday and got a really good interview with Minister Tobias, who I guess was sort of making the rounds, going back to those kinds of events again this past weekend, because then he also went and spoke. So he spoke in Winnipeg as well too. Then he went and he also spoke in Winkler. Our lovely student, who's, I guess he's kind of now officially like our Winnipeg Alternative Media Winkler, number one, which is our buddy Kurt Taves, who has been filming out there the last couple events there for us. Those events were pretty well attended. Great to see Minister Tobias out there speaking again as well too. That's great. And of course, he's doing fine, and the church is doing fine, and they had regular church service at Church of God on Sunday as well too. So yeah, all things looking good there.
That's fantastic. So out here, I've been keeping tabs about what's going on in Winnipeg. I still go on my CTV, and I still try to follow as much as I can on the mainstream media, because you don't get a lot of the other stuff that's going on out here. But you do see a lot of the Rebel news, because that's been the stuff that I've been following. And I just want to say, for no one that feels bad from me dying of heat, I get that. I don't mean to complain about the heat, but it is an adjustment when you're used to being in a hoodie and sweatpants. All right, let me just put it that way. So I've been able to keep up with some of the news out there, with everything that's been going on. So it's really, really good to see, Tobias kind of coming back and getting into the circuit. I saw that Patrick Allard also spoke at one of the rallies, which is great to see. I still know that everybody's still got their restrictions placed on them. So it's good to see kind of the old faces kind of coming back with the new modality of how the rallies have been going. How have the numbers been with the people attending?
Tough to say, because I haven't been at the last couple, actually. So I can speak to when I was last there, 3 weeks ago now. And I would say they kind of always sit at roughly around the same number of, a few hundred or so. So nothing that we want to really, get on air and brag about and go oh, you should have seen last weekend. There was, 2,000 or whatever. So, but tough to say. That's just the way things are. Fall and colder weather often changes things, and there's really nothing much more I could really say about that. There's some other Winnipeg news as well too that you might not have heard, but probably you did. This would be considered Manitoba news. So I think it was just yesterday the province extended the restrictions to the Southern Health region for another 3 weeks.
Yeah, I saw that.
There was a couple of regions, I forget what it was, or even a couple of townships or something that were now able to go back to 100% capacity inside of restaurants. Of course, fully vaxxed only, obviously. So there was a couple little switch ups done. So a few different communities got a pat on the back, hey, you've raised your vax numbers. Okay, now you get to go to restaurants a little bit more. Silly nonsense like that, stuff that we're all used to. And really, is it even a big news story to hear that the restrictions go on for 3 more weeks? Not even really. It's kind of old news. It's worth literally a 30-second mention, and then it's probably much more important things to talk about.
I love how they went from 2 weeks to 3 weeks.
Yeah. They used to always do the increments of 2 weeks, right? Now it's you know what? This time maybe 3, just because we're getting tired of that old number. So what the hell?
It's time to change things up for Manitoba. So a few things that I've noticed too, with Canada, but Ontario's kind of pushing the mandates there a little bit, which is good to see. I kind of love seeing everybody kind of standing up for that.
Yeah. In fact, I was just checking that out on Rebel right now. Yeah, the Ontario Superior Court issues interim injunction against Toronto Hospital Network's vaccine mandate. So I guess that's all hospitals in Toronto have had their mandates sort of at least pushed back for right now, which is great.
Yeah,
Which
is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are also, I think, as of today, 4 nurses or so in Alberta that are putting together a lawsuit. They're against. I can't recall right now. I was just looking for the story a moment ago. I think it's against Alberta Public Health or something.
I think
like
so.
that.
There's also are they suing the public health or were they suing the hospital? I thought I read that they were suing the hospital.
You know what? You're probably right. That was the detail I was looking for, and I was looking on Rebel as well too, but I only found the Ontario one first, and I stopped there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're suing the hospital. So, and that kind of goes right in line with something that that we know has been talked about a little bit, including something that we were just sharing around actually just yesterday, which is this idea of private prosecution, right? You know, a lot of people are getting a little confused in the mix here about, okay, do I go cease and desist? Do I go class action lawsuit or just, you know, lawsuit in general? So on and so forth. Or of course, then there's the notice of liability. And, you know, and a lot of people thought the notice of liability was like some sort of, that it was almost going to act like a cease and desist or a lawsuit, which of course we have to remind people is not the case. The notice of liability is basically just a good legal procedure to take so that if you do end up in front of a judge, that it'll simply look good, right? It's like it's building the case properly, where you can then say, well, I served my employer, you know, the notice and mentioned, you know, what could happen, what I could do, what measures I could take if they continue to push on me and remove me of my rights. And then after that, once then if it continues, then if all of a sudden you hit like, you know, the October 30th or just inside of November date of you know, okay, it's this or get out, then you can move forward with something. And the best thing I can't say the best because we don't have any evidence or proof right now of this actually ongoing. But one of the best ideas that I think I could say for myself that I've heard is moving forward with a private prosecution. And it's a good thing in a couple different ways, because you don't, like, a lot of people get worried about having to go find a lawyer. And then of course there's the huge argument of, the huge kind of disaster of, well, there really is no lawyers around that want to stand up for this because they're all pro-vax and they already are all double vax and they don't really see it this way. So there's that issue. But then with this, with private prosecution, you don't need a lawyer. So you don't need to worry about the dollar value. You don't need to worry about finding the right lawyer. You don't have to worry about getting maybe the JCCF to do it pro bono. And trust me, they're busy enough as it is. So that is a bad route to take. Yeah, that's a bad route to take, because you're going to be like the bottom of the pile for who knows how long. And the courts are going to like that, because then they just keep lay it off.
For sure. Yeah.
So this is really an interesting avenue that I can't, again, I'm not going to sit here and say it works. This is the way to go. I'm going to say it's a very interesting avenue. And of course, anybody out there that does want to give it a shot, I would say, give it a shot. And of course, you know, contact Winnipeg Alternative Media and tell us how it's going.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's
your
the biggest thing,
experience.
right? When people kind of are talking about kind of doing those private like filings and stuff like that, I think that people get a lot lost with what's kind of going on with that too. But I think that if you kind of, I like that the nurses are taking a stand and actually suing the hospital, because it's like, the hospital is actually doing the illegal thing. So instead of taking it to that next level, they're going to hit it right where home is and say, you can't fire me because I'm refusing a shot. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. So that was really, really cool to see.
And it scares people too, because they go like, well, you know, I'm going to get the police like directly involved, like just me and the police. I'm like, I'm just going to go to the cops and say, hey, come talk to my employer. Like, that sounds weird. You know, that sounds pretty tense. And it's like, yeah, but you are already the one who was put in the tense position. You're the one being, you know, told to go hit the bread lines. If you can't do anything to fight for your job and fight for yourself. So people have to get over that hump. And then I got a lot of other people, especially like some of our favorite trolls, that have said in the last 24, 36 hours, like, oh, no judge would ever consider it assault. No way, or something like that, right? Okay, first off, there's 2 points on that. First off, you can't really ever predict what any one judge is going to do. Okay, so don't go ahead and just say that and go, oh yeah, it's not going to work. Second off, I kind of lost my train of thought right there. Okay, so for sure, you never predict what a judge is going to do. And second off, you know, I'd still say with the amount of like, I don't know, police officers and stuff like that we know are kind of on our side, it's tough to say. But you know, it absolutely is, I would say, you know, a form of assault. You're talking about your livelihood or this, and it has to do with your body, right? Somebody can walk up to you at a mall and just put their hands on you, you know, when you don't know them, you didn't want them to. It wasn't a wanted touch, and that's assault. Go ahead, ask a police officer. They will absolutely agree.
Yep.
So, again, nothing, if people are hearing that kind of thing, don't let that get you all confused. It's not exactly, the 100% verifiable truth.
Yeah. So I think that people just need to kind of do a little bit of research when it comes to all of this stuff. Here in Mexico, what we're finding real quick is that they actually just brought in the mask mandate. So I literally went from a year and a half almost not wearing a mask to kind of wearing one, because you're not sure on how the policing is here on how this kind of works.
Okay.
So you really want to tread lightly here when you're first starting off, but people literally will wear them just kind of underneath here, and they kind of walk around, and then they take your temperature on your arm.
Interesting.
Or your hand.
Yeah, so it's a really, like you were telling me earlier today, right? And I find this very interesting. Like they're just going into that kind of mandate right now. Yep. But yet, of course, you were saying they don't have like the vax passports and stuff like that. So you're walking into restaurants, you can go to a sporting event even, or whatever.
You can do whatever you want here.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting dichotomy, I guess. So, but it's still, I guess that means obviously Mexico is beating us as far as freedom goes.
Yeah, so the Mexican president, his name is Andres Manuel Lopez. I'm not 100% sure if I'm butchering that. He announced this is going back in August, he announced that he has no plans for his country or tourists that are coming in for proof of a COVID-19 vaccination. So he refuses the proof. And then if you kind of keep on reading and you kind of look through it, they're actually in how they have the color scheme, like the red, the orange, like I think Manitoba right now is in state orange because it's like, the cases where you're in the fourth wave or whatever. And down here, they're actually just finishing the third wave. And now we're in where I'm at, it's a green zone. So it's green. They said that this is the lowest of cases that they've had ever since this whole thing started in where we're at. And then let me just kind of read this a little bit more here. They said that the cases are keeping on going down, and they said by the time next week goes around, they expect a total of where did I just see that number? Less than 1% by the end of next week, they're saying should be even a COVID positive case. And this isn't COVID positive going into in hospitals. This is just COVID positive. Like you could take tests at all the resorts. You can take COVID tests. They had a couple places when we got out of the airport, like actual little buildings. Yeah. But when you got out the airport, there were like little bars right there, and you could just go and get a beer and just keep on walking. The people like in taxis and stuff like that, you don't even have to wear a mask. It's crazy. You just come into Mexico and you go and live your life. And I mean, there's like, the thing is that's funny is that people wear their masks here outside all the time. And I'm going to say that that's probably more locals than it is tourists. Because the tourists are all going to Mexico to get away from where all the mandates probably were, right? Yeah, and I'm like, I can't even we put we went to a restaurant this morning, and I had it just kind of over my chin, and like the sweat was like dripping inside the mask. I'm like, I don't know how they wear it. I don't know how they're wearing long pants and sweat short. I don't know how they're doing it either, but they can do all of this stuff here. I mean, they're very acclimatized to it, but yeah, it's crazy. So the masks here are nuts, but they said that there's no way they're bringing in a passport. We can go to it's called a football game, a soccer game here. We can go see the pro club play, no mask or no mandate, and we don't even have to wear a mask. It's crazy the difference here because we weren't 100% sure when you came in. Like we literally got plopped into like culture. We're not in the resort. We're not in the Americanized part of Mexico. So we're right in the part of it. And then we're still pretty touristy where we're at, but it's insane just to be able to be free. Like you almost forget being free, how it feels like. Because you're like, well, we can't do this. Well, we can't do that. Well, actually, we can do anything we want here, which is insane. It feels insane, but it's insane. I can imagine. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what's going on here. So yeah, the green zone here is you can resume normal activities with precautions, of course. But yeah,
what is the vaccination rate like?
They said, actually, I have that number for you right over here. Oh shoot, where did it go? The vaccination rate is actually okay. Now, I don't know if the what is this called? It's called Mexico News Daily. Now, I don't know if that's their mainstream source of media here, which I'm assuming it is because I'm pretty sure I saw that newspaper at the restaurant that I was at. They said something like 97% of the zone that I'm in, all the adults, because they're not vaccinating children, all the adults have at least one shot. But it doesn't tell you how many have 2 shots. It doesn't even give you a card. You get the shots and then you just kind of go on your day. But 97% is from my findings is about 97% have had one that are eligible for it, and it's not going in kids here.
Okay. All right. Well, that's very interesting. And then
So
here in Canada, we just announced the national card. The national Vax card is available, I think, this Saturday. It's available on the 30th. Yeah. And of course, that's going to have a lot. That's going to have a lot to do with what happens on November 30th, right? With all the travel restrictions, because that's what you're going to need if you're going out of province. Even if you're going from Manitoba to Alberta or whatever, then the national card is going to be what's like the most effective one. Which is funny. I only heard this about Manitoba right now, which is that I guess Manitoba has already said that the Manitoba card will not work anywhere else but Manitoba, and you'll have to get the national card. I don't know if every other province has said that. Regardless, though, of course, I think eventually it will just be one card. Like, it'll be a bit of a transference period where, okay, you have the provincial cards and then you have the national card. But once there's been enough compliance to that and the national card has been sent out to everybody who should have one, I bet you it just turns into a system where that's the only card you really need, is what I'm predicting.
It'll be the only card that you get because it's going to be the one ruling that they want, right? That's how they're going to want you to get you. They want you under one card. They want you under one umbrella. That's and right. How else could you do that when you have so many? I mean, and Canada doesn't have a huge population, but it's got enough population that you'd kind of get lost in the shovel if you only had a provincial card. So, I mean, that's how they're going to get you on that damn basic income anyways. So, I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Then the next steps is what does that card actually accomplish and stand for, right? Will it just be some medical information, or will it be this, that, and the other thing? And of course, we'll probably hear some more about that as soon as we get into 2022.
Oh God. Well, 2022 is going to be the year that the passport kicks in. It's going to be the year of the basic income. It's going to be the year that I bet you by the end of next year, you won't even be able to have your driver's license without it being on that card. Like, it's going to go, I think that kind of stuff is going to go that fast because it's just, they really want, like, that's the thing here. Nobody talks about it here. Like, It's not talked about here. Like, you almost forget that it's even happening. And that's been really, really like such a blessing. Because you see the masks, that's about the only thing that reminds you. But most people, they just carry on their day, just like the odd. Like, it's weird. We walked into a Costco the other day here, and we had to like put our hand in front of this scanner, and was like, "What the hell is that?" It reads your temperature, and then I was like, "Well, what sense does that make?" I'm walking in from plus 40 to like minus like whatever the hell it is in Costco. And like my hands are like, it's nonsense how they're doing it. But I mean,
I gotta ask. What was the flight like?
The flight was actually okay. So we flew WestJet, and I have to say, we actually we just had people who joined us today, and they said that they were crazy from the Toronto to to Cancun. They said it was crazy, the intensity that they were like, you can't take your mask off because you can get travel fines and you could get this. And I was rocking a baby. I barely had, I had it under my chin 99.9% of the time. The only time I had it on was when I walked in the plane and when I walked off the plane. And it was barely even on because the mask is so big on my face that it was just literally hanging on the tip. And so it's just, the flight was great. The attendants on our flight were fantastic. They were taking their masks off in the back. And half of them weren't even wearing it over their nose, like 3/4 of the time. It's a plane. And then a lot of the pictures that we saw, like, it looked like all the time people were really spacing in the airports, but nobody was spacing in the airports. Everybody was squished together. Toronto Pearson Airport was probably the most lax one that we were at because I didn't wear my mask through like almost the whole time I was in there either. And nobody said anything. If you're in the Winnipeg airport and you're holding a Tim Hortons coffee, you don't even have to have your mask on either.
Right.
So
interesting.
There's ways around it, right? But somebody's asking here how we're going to come back to Canada without the double V. They can't deny us access back to our own country. So we're going to have to quarantine like everybody else. And and that's just how it's going to be. We'll say no, of course, and we'll just go home, take our tickets, and keep on going.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well done. Hey, you were asking about local news and stuff like that. I think this one just came out today, and I got to be able to mention this one because this is one part sad and maybe two parts actually. No, wait. Maybe it's two parts sad, one part funny. I'm not sure. That might be up to the individual. You decide. You guys, you comment and tell me. But you know what? And I got to make sure if I can do a quick screen share here because people actually have to see that I'm not just making this up.
Yeah.
So check this out. This is one of my favorite stories from the last little bit. Here is. And I already heard about this. I remember even a couple months ago.
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah.
I think the Toronto Zoo was the first one in Canada to actually have that kind of go public. But I guess now we should expect to see this from across the board. Because there's the vets. This is Winnipeg. The vets at the zoo. They got to shoot up. I don't even know is it specific animals? Like, okay, so there's the tigers. I guess they're getting it. Like, is there animals that are supposed to be more susceptible? Members of the cat family and primates seem to be the most susceptible. So all the monkeys, all the primates, and all of the wild cats. I guess I shouldn't call them wild cats, but all of the cats at the zoo are all getting lined up for their vaccines as well too. And I guess does that mean like double vax and then boosters as well too? And
so, would you think it would be bats and bat-related like animal family members that would be more susceptible, not the
ones who are supposedly kind of started the whole thing? Yeah,
exactly.
It was made in a lab, but it can go on with Fauci's little thing that he did that they might be just shooting up all these animals. So Fauci, if you guys have been living under a rock for the last little bit, I mean, if I got that news ASAP here in Mexico, you guys must have heard this before us even. But yeah, the beagle pups with the giant sandflies that were eating their faces and cutting their vocal cords. So here we go.
The sandflies eating their faces, that was being done to primates. What they did to the dogs is I don't know I don't think there's any point trying to discuss which one is more disgusting. But what they were doing with them is, what was it? They had them like trapped with their heads in a cage. They had their vocal cords cut, so they couldn't yelp because who wants to hear a puppy yelping in pain as you're torturing it, right? And there's so many sick, sad things about this, but it's kind of, I don't want to call it good that it comes to light. And these things were happening for a long time, anyways. This is like the priest class death cult that absolutely has loved this kind of thing ever since. You talk about what was going on in World War II with the Nazis and all of their science experiments. That kind of thing has never ever slowed down or stopped. In deep underground bases, level 4 bio labs, secret locations and stuff like that. It's never slowed down or stopped for a moment. And there's. Okay, does it have to do with maybe like science or something like that? I guess kind of, sort of, but the science of how to, manipulate nature, how to destroy nature, how to make nature, what these sociopaths are looking for, and also to derive some sort of pleasure out of it, because again, these are absolute psychotic individuals. To the point where this is one of the most disgusting points about this story. And the media, I could do a screen share on this about too, like a whole bunch of links, and the media is trying to cover for it. It's, it wasn't actually NIH, and Fauci wasn't really involved. Absolutely, he was on record.
Absolutely involved.
Directed funding towards it for years and years and years and years and years. But here's one of the things that I think should really drive a point home about how sick these individuals are. And of course, these are the individuals that are already getting vaccines into the worldwide population and who want to come for your kids as well too, because we all know these same sick individuals have a weird thing with kids, right? Well, you don't think Fauci's not in with that sort of like Epstein crowd from Hollywood and that kind of thing? Yeah, they 100%. All are. It's part of their fun, sick little demonic game. So the really nasty part about the beagles is, they use the beagles because of the fact that they are a really friendly dog and take to humans rapidly. Like, even a beagle that's an adult beagle, you could I guess adopt one, and within maybe a day or a matter of hours, it will already be laying on your lap and it won't be afraid of you. So they chose the beagle because of them, and then they actually bred them for this, just because the beagle is the dog that will come right up to the absolute mad scientist, will walk right up to Fauci and say, hey friend, can you pet me? And of course Fauci's like, do I? Oh, I'm gonna pet you, all right.
In the case you go, sir. But isn't it crazy though? And now, and I wrote this on my Facebook just before we came on air tonight. Isn't it crazy how people go crazy, like insane, mad, and like want to throw Fauci in jail for the torture he's doing to animals? But they're patting him on the back for an experimental drug and
That's
saying,
right.
way to go on that one, buddy. Isn't it fucked up that they're condemning one thing with the dogs? And I mean, rightfully so. Dogs are amazing and they're awesome.
But that's because it seems like anybody on the left, anybody anywhere left of the middle, whether in the kind of the political arena or sort of, you know, the societal arena, is a lot of them seem to be just very not so loving, not so spiritual, not so God-fearing like individuals. They don't mind this kind of thing. This is why they're so into the vax and they want to do it to kids, even if they don't know it. It's a part of the brainwashing. It's a part of the teaching. And so these individuals, when they're found for doing really, really nasty stuff, it's almost celebrated in a way. Okay, yeah, you're going to get some animal lovers or PETA or whatever like that. That's going to be like, oh, we should string them up. Well, guess what? I think no matter how hard they say that, no matter how loud they say that, I think they're totally lying to themselves and they're just trying to jump on a bandwagon right now because, okay, Fauci and the animals, it's a big public story, so we'll pretend to defend the animals. Nah, I think they all totally get off on it.
PETA or whatever the hell, I think they're part of this whole agenda with this bullshit. Like, I actually heard a theory, now I'll put my tinfoil hat on for this one, but I had heard a theory that with the COVID vaccinations to the animals, like the tigers and all of that, was to help promote extinction of those animals in our zoos. And I mean, take it for what it might be. I don't know. But that was one of the theories that I had heard, because why would an animal need a COVID-19 shot? Why would your dog? And that's what they're trying to do. And if you actually go down, before I left, I went down a couple of dog aisles and pet stores, and the dog food, the cat supply, and all of that is like super, super, super low. And it's absolutely insane. What was that one? Can you put that one back up? Sorry.
Yeah, migrants.
Any migrants heading to the U.S. You know what? I haven't looked into that one. I'm a little bit too much in the east side of Mexico. When we go over to the west side of Mexico, I'm definitely going to be looking into that because I'll be closer to that U.S. border. And then flying out, so people have been asking, I didn't have to take a PCR test to come to Mexico because Mexico doesn't require a PCR test. So we didn't have to take one, even to fly to Toronto to here. We didn't have to take one. If you fly after the 30th to Mexico, you have to take a PCR test, but that's the Canadian government. So now I'm not sure if you'd need one from Toronto to here, but you'd probably need one from Winnipeg to Toronto. Because right now there's no direct flights, right? Because you got to remember, Winnipeg isn't an international airport right now. It's only a Canadian airport. So you might need a PCR test to fly from Winnipeg to Toronto or Winnipeg to Vancouver. Then on November 30th, you have to have your 2 vaxes. But I also heard that might be being pushed back till December 30th. So there's like supposedly a big push that's been happening with that. And they might be pushing the double vaxxed only after December 30th. So give chance for people to do whatever. I haven't been able to do much research on that one. I've been looking for that article that I read that on, and I haven't been able to find it. So if somebody sees it, send it to me because I would love to read the rest of it.
You know, there's something else I should bring up as well too before I forget. And if I go through so many of my, I got this whole big list of notes just from the news items from just today. If I get through it all, I'll have to do some extra homework for my show on Thursday, but I think that's probably for the best. So we'll go for it. But I want to make sure to get this word out as well too. And I do thank the people who contacted us at WHAM just after, literally right after the event ended in Winkler this past Sunday, which is, and I'm going to quickly screen share this as well too, because this guy wants attention. So I was telling a few people, we're going to give it to him. And we'll just, have some fun with this. Although this guy should not be having fun really in the way that he's doing. So some people were reporting at a plane, and a lot of the Winkler locals know this guy who apparently really hates the rallies, really hates the events and stuff like that, hates anybody who doesn't want to wear a mask and anti-vax and blah, 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 blah. So a big old COVID Karen. And he likes flying. He does crop dusting literally as a job. I think it's even said that he owns this company. Here he is. Yeah, president and CEO. This is the guy right here, Chris Onro. And he likes to fly over the events. And I don't know if he's done this every time that he has flown over. What I have heard in past times, I guess, that he likes to fly very low. I don't know if he's in an area where he should be allowed to fly that low because he's not crop dusting. He's not over top of a crop. But okay, he flies really low so that his loud, single engine plane can try to drown out some speakers for about 10 seconds or some garbage like that. Or maybe he does a couple double passes. I don't know. But This past Sunday, of course, people were concerned because all of a sudden there was something coming out of his plane, which is most likely just some show smoke or whatever like that. If it was an actual chemical of some kind, it would probably be more liquid in form. People would feel it on them. You would smell it in the air. So no, there's probably nothing like that that's happened. But, I've had some people say to me, like, well, should we alert like the RCMP? So should somebody go talk to this guy? And guess what? He's got a rap sheet for being a little overly aggressive in this exact kind of situation as well, too. So I just wanted to make sure to let everybody know. There he is, Chris Onro. There's his phone number right there as well, too. Oh, boy.
Give him a dingle, guys.
Yeah, email address as well, or maybe talk to the Winkler RCMP. He works for Precision Land Solutions. He's got a bit of a rap sheet already, so they certainly know him, and they have paid him visits before. And, maybe it would be smart for there to be, another visit where they actually say, like, look, you do this again, and I don't know, we're going to suspend your pilot license or whatever, right?
Yep.
Because if he's just out there to scare people and using an airplane, and of course he's going to get off on this whole thing of like, oh, I bet you all the conspiracy theorists at the event all think that I dumped chemicals on them, but it's just show smoke, but watch them freak out. You know what? Still, that's sick. That's sick, man. And
the problem with that too, though, is like, if you're flying that low, like you kind of start to go into the what ifs. What if the one freaking engine shuts down? What if the one thing kind of breaks down? Then you turn into a manslaughter case.
Well, no doubt. And I mean, it's an overtly dangerous thing, and it's just, I could totally get what this guy is trying to accomplish right now, but I understand people being out of those events and going like, well, if this is supposed to be like a common thing now when we're in Winkler, like that's not right. That should stop. And I agree. So there we go. There's the company. There's his name, and he wanted some attention. There we go. He's got some attention right there. Chris, a round of applause. You are this week's absolute
biggest asshole. I like yours. Let's go with yours, piece of shit. Yeah. Sometimes you need to call these guys out, and that's the biggest thing. I know that I saw a couple posts on Sunday about the plane, and it was good. I'm glad that people dug that out, because I actually didn't see that or hear about that since until tonight. So that's awesome. So thanks for that, because I was wondering about that. I was wondering what the hell was going on down there. Looks like Winkler's starting to pick up freaking some steam there too with their rallies and stuff, which is amazing. It's great to see. I hear that on Saturday, the rally this week is the first responders. So what have you guys kind of like, I don't know what you're hearing through the rallies. All I heard was that supposedly there's first responders going to this one. What's kind of the word out on the street there with all of that?
Don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know really much either. So if anybody actually has information on that, please send that to me. But yeah, I heard that there's supposed to be some first responders standing up for this one, which is great. It's almost too bad that we had to get to a point where everybody was literally losing everything for the numbers and for the cops and for the firefighters and for the paramedics to start standing up. But I honestly think when it comes to Manitoba and when it comes to Winnipeg, the only time that's really, really going to change is when the nurses, the firefighters, the cops, the paramedics, all the city workers, the truck drivers, all the government workers are all losing their jobs. Teachers, they all need to stand together, and they all need to start hitting these places. I saw too that there was a little protest or some kind of gathering at CBC, but that it didn't look like that one really took off or made much noise. But we need to start making some noise in Manitoba, because holy crap, it's just like, it's like a sleeping giant, and it's just like if you can, the passion of Manitobans. I mean, you see it at Jets games all the time, right? Like they
took a hit. They took a hit on their home opener.
Good. And I heard that they also went down in numbers again on the second game too. So
I believe so. And then I know Shadow has mentioned, and I guess a few others as well too, I've kind of mentioned as well, that that there is quite the fight going on between a good portion of season's ticket holders and True North.
Yeah.
And good.
Yeah.
I mean, though the season ticket holders, I think True North attempted to punish them with like, I don't know, not allowing them to do a proper refund or something like that.
Yeah, they won't. They'll only allow them to do a credit exchange.
Right.
What the hell? You're not going to allow me in your building and you want me to take a credit? Like, I think that this is a great opportunity for the Jets fans to also start standing up, take True North to court as well, or try to figure out a way to get that going. And I think that Manitobans, even I sit here all the time and I think about like, how can we make more noise? How can we do this? How can we do that? And I think that when you kind of go through the rallies, I think what the rallies have to start to change is we have to start changing the framework, and we have to get those first responders. We need the government workers. We need the nurses. We literally need to pool all of these people together. And I think you take over Portage and Main, you shut that shit down on Thursday afternoon at 3:00, and you back up traffic. You make mainstream media see you, and you make them comment on this stuff with people holding their signs quietly, respectfully, and nobody's sitting there saying, die Trudeau, die, fuck off Trudeau. I think you do it with respect, and I think that you can kind of get the biggest things. Shadow's saying that there were small claims cases filed against True North this week, supposedly.
Oh,
That's
there
awesome.
we go. See, I did not know that. Okay, very interesting. That's good stuff.
Way
And
to
I
go,
imagine
Winnipeg.
Shadow will probably be talking about that in about 20 minutes on his broadcast. That's awesome. Yeah, it's really interesting, but I guess because it actually hasn't happened yet, right? We haven't gone and seen anything in the public eye from the first responders and such because they are still going to work. Things are still this like slow creeping death, I guess, kind of right now, as far as employment goes, of course. And until there's actually that hard cutoff point, then of course, we were hearing, and I know others, Sean Zimmer, Shadow, I'm sure others as well too, possibly even yourself, were hearing that, there was going to be like a public stand or something like that from some of these individuals, like about as far back as almost a month ago at this point. For whatever reason, don't know why. I'm not going to speak to any of these individuals or any of their, any of where they work for and the groups that they might have. But it hasn't happened, and we'll just have to kind of wait and see. And of course, anything that they can do to just kind of show Manitoba in general, I'm not going to care how they do it necessarily, but anything that could be possible to just alert the public, and I guess it already kind of has been done. And this is this funny thing, right? Like the Winnipeg Free Press runs a story saying, there's a bit of a disaster on the way. This is like front page, right on the front page. 10,000 are going to be possibly walking out, out of work, whatever like that, in just a couple weeks. And people read that and see that and just kind of, of course, just quickly go to what they've been programmed to think, which is to blame them.
Yep.
Right. Oh, how dare they? They're going to make the pandemic worse. It's going to be, and of course, that's what I see as the plan, to go like, oh yeah, now the healthcare system is really really in a hard spot. So, oh boy, maybe we need more restrictions and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. It's almost like Pallister had this perfectly laid out. Any word on the Stevenson Glover situation? I'm
glad you mentioned that, because that was the kind of like last good thing to really go through on my list, and certainly the last Manitoba thing to mention. The big day is this Saturday as well too, and I can't really say. No, I can't really speak to. I have no predictions whatsoever. I don't have a clue what's going to happen. Yep. I'm pretty sure there's been a pretty good amount of people who have been making sure their ballots are really safe and taking them directly to Shelley Glover's office. Of course, there was the really silly and kind of, I guess, to be expected lame ass smear campaign that was attempted, just because the media ended up finding out that the very dangerous Patrick Allard has talked to Shelley Glover. He backs her right now, including even an interview. Well, not really, an attempted interview, where I think they just used a snippet of like an email from Pat or something like that. Yeah. Where he just kind of says, we're stuck with conservative for 2 more years regardless. Stephenson is more of kind of a Pallister that, she's fine with all the mandates and restrictions. She would lock down again if that was, if that's what Roussin said to do or whatever. And, so that's, that's not changing anything. There's no new conversation there. There's no possible new ideas and refreshing anything there. Yep. So why don't we at least just go for something that might be refreshing? And, Glover is okay with having at least the conversation on the table to not have the vax passports and the mandates, and seems to, of course, very much not want to see good people that are really good at their jobs lose their jobs over this. Yeah. So because she's at least willing to have that conversation in the public eye, that's of course why this is, kind of all gone that way. And then, so they try to use Pat's name as a way to go like, well, hey, enough Manitobans really don't like that Mr. Allard, so we'll go see if we can wreck Shelley Glover. Yeah. We got rid of that Ken Lee, so we got to get rid of Glover now, and here's the best way to do it. tough to say what's going to play out on Saturday. But a lot of people I know have been trying to get their ballots in a very direct fashion so that there's no room for screwing around.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
We'll see what happens. I know I got a text message from Heather's, I guess her people, they texted me and they said, hey, can we count on your support for, to vote her in as the next premier? And I said, I'm not going to vote Hitler's freaking doppelganger back in place. And I literally said these words. I can read you the text almost where I might have dropped a few F-bombs in there. I'm not going to lie.
Pallister an address?
Yeah, Pallister in address. And I said, you guys, this is going to be worse than having Pallister in office because she's now, and this isn't to take away from females, please. This isn't to take away from females, but females who get in men's positions usually end up with a bigger dick and a bigger power trip than most other women who actually, like if it's like a more dominant field of women, there's not that big power trip. But you see the women cops, a lot of them have this power trip that they can kind of have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look at we could use a lot of examples, right? Especially American examples. Look at Alexandria Cortez. look at Hillary Clinton herself. Who do we got in Canada as well too? Oh, look at there's plenty. We could talk about Dina Henshaw. We could talk about even Tam herself as well too. But yeah, it can be. You're exactly correct, and there's enough examples that would sort of lead into that. That's for sure. Oh, Lynne froze. I guess I have to fill. Okay, I can fill the void for now. Let's see. Well, I'll try to get something else off my list as well. Oh, okay. Lynne will have to be brought back. All right. So, hey, I went from being the guest to the co-host, I guess. Mounties for Freedom. Let's talk about this quickly as well, too. This would certainly be something that I might just even have to revisit on my own broadcast on Thursday. But let's talk about Mounties for Freedom. I could bring that up right here. Go check out the website. Very, very, very good looking website. Awesome stuff right there. I'll go through it quickly for y'all. Lots of people signing up to this.
Hey guys.
I guess it's a bit of a petition or something, but incredible stuff there. Mission to serve and protect. Very much the same thing that we've heard lots of police officers say, of course, right? Just like the stand on guard for thee. Very similar, actually pretty much the same thing as stand on guard for thee, but I guess just directly from the Mounties. But they do have lots and lots of other people kind of joining them. And so, yeah, we believe in democracy and defending the principles under which our country was founded and operated, and we are committed to protecting the rights and freedoms of choice for every Canadian. And if you go down here, you can see all the partners that they're partnering with right there. There's a little note from the commissioner right there. That's really cool. And then to check out the full letter, because I think this is what I don't know these details just yet. So please help, fill this in for me if anybody knows. But I guess, of course, this letter was probably already sent to the Prime Minister's office and probably others as well too. So it goes through a lot. It kind of, goes through some of the research, the scientific information. Why, of course, there is a million wide open doors for questioning the narrative of this entire pandemic and the mandates and the restrictions and so on and so forth. So it is really. It's really quite well detailed and full. There's a lot there. And I would go check it out. You just go to Mounties 4, that's number 4, Mounties number 4, freedom.com. Go check out everything that's going on there. And, most likely you're probably going to want to sign on to it as well, too. So wanted to make sure to give everybody a little heads up about that, because that is some really good stuff. And hopefully the Mounties continue to press on.
That's like the biggest, sorry about that. Internet's hit or miss here.
Here in Mexico, it's totally excusable.
What are you going to do?
You don't have a sombrero. Next week, sombrero.
You know what? There's one here somewhere.
Oh, okay. We're going to do that for the...
And a poncho.
Okay, listen.
and I would like a poncho if you would be so kind as to haggle for one.
Okay, when I go to we're heading down to the beach, I think tomorrow or the day after. So I promise I will haggle something. My daughter got me an Edmonton Oilers poncho here once upon a day in Mexico. Yeah. But I think that Mounties for Freedom has been all over on Facebook Message. I think.
Yes.
30 of those. Yeah. So that's really good. That's a great point to bring that up.
Yeah.
100%. All right. Well, we're going to start wrapping it up.
Consensual right there. Todd hugged me Saturday. That qualifies as assault. Not if you
Oh,
Not really.
Fuck
Ken.
you.
If
Not
you
hugged
no.
engaged in the hug,
I
if
think
you
Ken
engaged
wanted.
in the hug and they hugged back, it is consensual, no assault.
then it's fair game.
Oh.
I got
You know what,
brother.
though?
You.
I should mention this. I completely lost my
Oh,
karaoke
okay.
my karaoke
My
ethics.
internet is starting to freeze up pretty good.
Uh-oh. So I did kind of assault
So
Ken because I
can-
routinely stole the microphone from him when doing karaoke. So you know what? He might be able to charge me.
You're okay for now, Lynn.
All right. I'm going to start wrapping up the show just because I think our kids are playing on video games upstairs. So it's kind of taking away my internet here.
What happens to me?
I know. Damn kids.
They fucking go to bed.
Can't tell teenagers to go to bed this early, though. Todd, I really
you wanna
appreciate
see
that. We're I
I'll do
appreciate
it.
that you no, we're good. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm looking forward to our show next Tuesday with the What's Up North America. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to make sure to get a lot of notes. I'll actually, whoever was talking about the border crossing, I'll actually do some digging around for that as well. So that, because I know Blake will have his US version, I'll bring in the Mexican version of that. And that would be a great conversation to have. Actually, I wonder too, if we should be looking at the Canadian border and see if there's anything crossing back and forth, because if you look, like I have friends who went from Toronto to Tennessee because they're moving to Tennessee. They're leaving. People are leaving because they want freedom. And I know that this is going to be global, and I get that this is going to happen, and I get that we're going to get hammered down here at some point too. Mm-hmm. But I think when you can kind of grab that 5 minutes of like taking a break from all of this fight. I mean, we've been fighting this for a long time. So just a kick back in the pool behind me here. It's been a great break. But know that I'm still planning a Christmas party for the kids in December. We just finished our Halloween party at Burnt Hill the other day. That was a great turnout. We had I was told about 80 kids. So I want to thank my 2 volunteers who headed that for me. So thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate that. We're going to put together a huge Christmas for all the kids, but for all the adults. We're actually looking for a tractor and a big sled to pull people around, have some hot chocolate, and even if we can, I don't even know. We'll figure out. I've got my team. We're going to talk. We're going to throw together some stuff, and we'll do Christmas down in Mexico. You guys do Christmas up in Canada, and then we will see you guys in a little bit after that. Somebody's asking me here, how was to fly down to Mexico? It was easy. You got on a plane and you flew. The only, the only nervous thing I got was because somebody sent a letter to Shadow, and this person who's probably watching on here, sent a letter to Shadow saying that the authorities were notified that I was leaving the country. And I'm like, what?
Just trying to scare you. Just trying to scare you. That's some funny little troll right there. Eh? Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly what I told. Yeah. So no, it was really easy. If you guys are interested in flying down, I actually have a top 14 list here of countries that you could fly down for the unvaccinated. So if you guys can get in a plane before October 30th, Cyprus, Tanzania, someplace in Africa. I'm not even going to pretend to announce that name. Jamaica, Brazil, Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Colombia, Belize, South Africa, Costa Rica, Croatia, Turkey, and Spain at the Canary Islands are all letting you fly unvaccinated. And I believe they are also not requiring a PCR test. So if you guys need to get out, have a holiday, because I think everybody deserves a little bit of a holiday, take a break and head out there and just go and just enjoy a little bit of freedom, because I think everybody just enjoys that and needs that a little bit right now too. So
I do agree. Yeah. I just got one last thing to mention before I call it a night. And of course, thank you so much, Lynne, for having me on. And I think this is really cool to have you there in Mexico. I'm greatly looking forward to the show next week and doing this What's Up North America. Spectacular idea. It's going to be good. So everybody, put that on your calendars. You don't want to miss it.
Mark it down.
That's right. Mark it down. Mark it down. Last thing I'm going to mention, we had our first newsletter go out just yesterday. I'm hoping a lot more people have been signing on, as I've been promoting the hell out of it throughout the last 24 hours. It looks really good. A huge kudos to the wonderful individual who shall remain nameless that has been that puts together our newsletter, and we'll be putting it out every Monday now. So it is a weekly newsletter. You'll get everything wham on that. So if you miss anything, or if you're not on a certain social media platform or whatever. You'll get it all. You'll be able to watch everything that's been going on, other heads ups and stuff like that as well too. And you can just go to wham.live. It's super easy. We have the easiest URL imaginable.
Live.
That's right. Wham.live. Go there, join the newsletter, and go check out all the other things going on at wham.live as well too. That's going to do it for me. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Enjoy
Todd,
Mexico, Lynn. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Everybody.
Thank you, Todd, for joining us tonight. Thank you to everybody for joining in. Thank you to all the amazing text messages and for all the support and for all the love. Know that I am still fighting for you guys. Know that I am still putting the time in every single day to make sure that we are fighting for Manitobans and Canadians alike. Know that that we're out here, and we hope every single day that things are going to start to change slowly. And of course, we are going to keep bringing you the Mexican news, because it's going to be great to see this international stuff in between Canada, US, and here, because it's just, you know what, if we can see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel or a different way of doing things, wouldn't it just be fantastic to maybe bring in a different thing? So going to take a look around. I'm going to do some more research for you guys. Also, if you're not part of our email list for the to stay in with the town halls, we're actually creating a town hall as well. That's going to be coming up. I know that I had said 2 weeks, but with coming down here in the last minutes of, like, it was literally last minute when we came down here. With the last minute stuff, we had to push the town hall. So I'm working on that. Just got in contact with my contact from Egypt and going to be creating a date for that. And it's only going to be her and one other speaker on this town hall. If you guys want to be part of Project Thanos, email me at Lynne, LYNNE, tcf@gmail, and make sure to get your name on our email list so that you guys can see. Also, you're going to see the upcoming events that we're going to be creating. I'm still going to be creating events because I still think it's super, super important. Like I said, they wanted a 2-tier system. I'm going to give them a fucking 2-tier system, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to create events so that we can keep having fun. We can keep as normal for our children. I got the best text back from a lady who had brought her 3-year-old son to, I think 3, maybe 5, to the Birds Hill event, and said that her son had so much fun, and he talked about it for a couple days after. So that was an amazing email. So thank you for letting me know how much fun you guys had. It was great to see. Going to create a Christmas event. If you guys want to be a part of that, let me know. We always need volunteers to help with that. Thank you so much. I don't know how to say bye in Spanish. Actually, let me just quickly look that up, because you gotta love Google.
Adios, amigo.
Is it adios? It is adios. See,
Adios.
I should know that. Adios.
Adios.
All right. Adios from
Muchas
Mexico.
gracias.
Love you all. Muchas gracias. Mwah, mwah, mwah.